This is episode 242 of the Super League pod, and it's reached that time of the year where we endlessly list names of players we barely recognise. Yep, international squads are announced, they offer light relief to the tour around the crisis clubs of the semi-professional game, and we get your fan views on the not-so-surprising major transfer story at Leeds. Sarah goes gentle on Mark in his therapy session recapping the Super League semi-final before the hosts go different ways on Toronto's promotion. We have all the other big results and fan reviews covered, and we share our guesses on how the two Super League grand finals will go. Lick 'em, stick 'em, strap in, it's SLP time. Hello, all you listeners out there. Welcome along to episode 242 of the Super League pod. This week you have got Mark. I'm a Wigan fan, so this might not be the easiest episode for me to get through. And we've got Sarah, who's a Hull FC fan. So your bad times are already long forgotten, I think, Sarah.
Yeah, dreaming of the future, 2020 vision and all.
Watching Josh Jones, thinking that could be us next year.
Yeah, either that or Lee Radford will have him battering down the middle like he does with all second rowers.
Excellent stuff. Well, welcome back, Sarah. It's been a few weeks since we've had you on. Do you want to let the listeners know, first of all, who this episode is sponsored by?
Well, I don't know, because this person went to Hull Fair without even telling me.
Oh.
Very disappointed in him. But this episode is sponsored by Little Warden. And if you have a website, then visit littlewarden.com and see what they can do to help you. They can help with domain expiration checks, redirects, and all sorts of other important background web stuff that they'll make simple for you. Vital alerts for hidden issues.
Good stuff. I suppose, as we're in October now, we normally have our Might and Warriors catch up, but is Joshua's team now on winter break? How does it work? I don't know how that works for the kids.
So they finished the season, they had their end of season celebration, I guess, and award ceremony the other Sunday.
Mad Monday.
Pardon? Mad Monday, yeah, something like that. Every day is mad. And then, so that was last Sunday, and then they started winter training on Thursday.
Oh, right, so there's no real off-season then for the game. Well, they need to get all the practice in them that they can ahead of next season.
So he had training on Thursday, and then he had training again tonight, and he's come home with a playbook and everything, so he's got lots to be learning. Wow,
there you go. Progressing now with a new playbook. That's excellent stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, this week's show, we're going to be talking Super League awards, so we'll talk about that after we've given a few shout-outs for what we've been up to over the last couple of weeks around the Super League pod stuff. We've got loads of news. It's loads of squads, really, isn't it? Loads of squads, little bits of signing news.
The rundown, I was like, oh yeah, and that's just a whole list of names.
Oh yeah, so yeah. We'll decide if any of the names are interesting, but lots of names for us to read, Sarah. What I've not done is put in some of the more minor nation squads, like Serbia and people like that. So hopefully there won't be too many unpronounceables for
Yeah, and
us.
If you're Serbian and you object, then let us know and we'll get them in for next week. Because I'm not in.
Yeah, Alan can read them next week. Excellent idea. We're obviously going to recap Salford's dominant trouncing of the former, now we can say, Super League champions Wigan Warriors. We'll talk Toronto getting promoted and Oldham as well. And we'll talk about the NRL Grand Final, and we'll all have our This Week in League Refs Fault scarves out for that one, I'm sure. And then finally, today we're going to make our predictions for the Super League Grand Final next Saturday, which features St Helens and Salford Red Devils. So I didn't think at the start of the season we'd be saying featuring Salford Red Devils in the Grand Final, but there you go. We'll also have a little quick look ahead as well to the Women's Super League Grand Final as well, which seems like it should be a really exciting encounter based on previous finals between the two sides that have made it. We'll talk about that. That game's, of course, on Friday night, but we'll get to that in the predictions. First of all, a couple of little shout-outs. What happened this weekend, Sarah? What was the big SLP news this weekend?
The big SLP news this weekend was that the Dream Team voting opened.
No, that's been open weeks.
I was quickly looking at the rundowns to see what I was meant to be picking out.
The Sloppies vote
That's
is now
the thing
open.
that's open. Yep, that's the thing in big letters in front of me.
Capital letters. But
Yep.
so the Super League Pod awards are now open. We know the Man of Steel award winner, the award winners as well, the rest of the Super League awards. If you didn't agree with any of those awards, this is your chance to make your votes on who you think the big awards should go to in the very much fans vote that is the Super League Pod awards. So the season review show will be doing that in November. So you do have a month to get your votes in and give us your thoughts as well on your team's seasons. We want to know still what the appetite is for fan audio reviews too, because we haven't had any yet. So we've not had any emails from anyone with an audio clip talking us through their side's season. So
disappointing.
Yeah, at the moment it doesn't look like there's much appetite. So we'll be doing an awards show and then just criticising all the teams ourselves because no one else wants to say anything.
Maybe people want to get this weekend out the way so that they can, properly reflect.
Exactly, and they will have until early November anyway, so plenty of time for people. Yes, you did say the SLP Dream Team voting, that is still open. We're going to keep that open until next Sunday, aren't we? So the team will be revealed on next week's Grand Final recap episode. There's a few positions really up for grabs, Sarah. There's only 2 votes separating the 2 options for fullback. There's the first winger. I mean, I'm not spoiling too much. I'm being a bit like Danny Maguire at the Super League Awards here by trying to talk around the name Tommy Makinson, but realising everyone already knows he was the top try scorer. But the second winger in the team, that's well up for grabs. There's 3 different options that are within 3 votes of each other. So your votes can still really change things in a couple of positions, definitely. And in fact, if the votes flood in, every position's up for changing at this stage, which is fantastic. So yeah, that will be revealed next week. So you've got the rest of this week to make your SLP Dream Team votes. The links to the voting forms will be on the episode blog post, which you'll find superleaguepod.com. They'll also be all over our Facebook page, Super League Pod, facebook.com/Super League Pod. God, I'm back to not knowing how to say that. And on Super League Pod Twitter's feed as well. If you just look through those, you'll see various links to the voting forms there. And if you're not a social media user, you don't go on the blog, then send us an email to superleaguepod@gmail.com and we'll send you the voting forms. I've been busy writing, Sarah, over the last week. I don't know what struck me, but there was a new blog post that I did last week about TV deal ideas. Now I've written one which is more a fact-based thing with a few thoughts in there too about the most Thursday night games and what we can do to maybe tweak them to make the noisy fans who don't like Thursday night games feel a little bit better about them. I don't know if you had a chance to check that out and see where Hull FC rank in that table.
Not yet. No, that's a job for tomorrow.
So,
a pleasure for tomorrow. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, job. Yeah, thanks. It's a chore support. Am I right? Well, you might have another chore later on tomorrow as well, because one of our other co-hosts, Alan, has been busy writing his opinion on the Coach of the Year. Now that'll play into the Super League Pod Awards as well, obviously, because it's a category we've brought back for the first time since the first year. Because this year, really, there's a few good choices, isn't there? So Alan's written a blog making the case for his choice of Coach of the Year. So that'll also be available on the blog this week, superleaguepod.com. Check that out and have a read. And please do share all of those and your comments on what you see in those posts as well with us. We like reading those, don't we? Okay.
Definitely.
That's it for the opening part to the show. Instead of going straight into the news, we're going to play our little music and then talk about the Super League Awards. So as we record on the 7th of October, it's the day after the Super League Pod Awards, which were on the 6th of October. They were done in a different way this year. They were kind of like a show rather than a dinner, an awards event. It was more like a show. And it was at the Lowry Theatre in Manchester, and I was there. And actually, Sarah, I sort of never really looked at my tickets. I thought we'd be up in the circle or something, and all the VIPs would be down at the bottom.
Yeah.
But we were actually 4 rows away from the front. I was sat 2 rows behind Barry Mack. He said hello. He asked what they'd done letting riffraff like me and my Uncle Liam down in the what he thought was the VIP section, but turns out that he's not that important as he thinks he is, obviously. If he was only sat 2 rows in front of me.
Yeah.
But it was great. We got to see everything really close up. You could sort of see the event unfold, and there was lots of fans of all the teams there, but mostly the Lancashire-based sides, with it being in Manchester, and mostly Salford, because they kind of were expecting at least one of their 2 big guys to get an award, and they were very noisy. I'm not sure how much you've seen of the footage that they've cut together and shown of the awards, Sarah, but the Salford fans made a lot of noise throughout. Most of it good-natured. They didn't take too kindly to the Coach of the Year award, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But they maybe crossed the line into disrespect there, but mostly they really added to the atmosphere. And I think the Super League probably want this idea to evolve and get a bit more of all the fan bases coming along and creating that sort of atmosphere. It was really... I had a lot better... I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to. It certainly wasn't stuffy and stale. It was entertaining, and they kept it on a kind of informal but still structured path that it went along. It was actually a fun night. There's no doubt things they can do slightly differently, and maybe encourage more people to get there next year, but it was fantastic. And some people were super dressed up. Some of the normal fans that were going were super dressed up as well, and some people weren't. Did you see the Man of Steel award winners all got dressed up by Harvey Nichols, is it?
Oh, right, yeah.
So they all went to Harvey Nichols to get outfitted up, and it seems that Harvey Nichols do not supply socks, because Jackson Hastings and George Williams both did not have socks. I don't know if this is a style thing that's bypassed me.
Were they in flip-flops?
No, they were in kind of... I don't know. They were in shoes. Were they like deck shoes or like loafers or so? I don't know. I don't know the names of stuff. I don't know that no socks is a thing. So I don't know. But anyway, they all looked smart and individual.
As long as you didn't look at the feet.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't even realise until someone else pointed it out. I didn't know, because it was in Manchester. It's been Salford. It's been raining all this time. Maybe they were scared of getting the bottom of the trousers wet, so all the trousers were rolled up. But then they were like, well, they didn't have socks as well, so it felt like a big statement thing. But anyway, I suppose the biggest statements were made by the people who...
I think it's just the cool kids that wear no socks.
That's definitely not me, Sarah, then.
No, well, that's Luke's excuse.
Well, he's much more likely to be on trend than we are, but someone who's certainly trending highly in the Super League this year was the winner of the Man of Steel award. So do you want to take us through that first award, the big award?
Yeah, so Salford Red Devils halfback Jackson Hastings has won the 2019 Steve Prescott Man of Steel award. 23-year-old wins in his first full season with the club, having joined the Red Devils in July 2018 following his release by Manly Sea Eagles. The award comes after Hastings guided Salford to their first ever Super League Grand Final as they beat Wigan in the second playoff semi-final.
Yeah, so Hastings, I think, not a surprise that he's won it. It's certainly he's in the short list that we put together for the Super League Pod Player of the Year, and I'm pretty sure lots of people had him pegged out as the Man of Steel as well before the event. What do you think of Jackson Hastings? Do you think worthy winner?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I've seen, people say, oh, it's only because he's a good player in a bad team, but then I don't think you can necessarily say in a bad team, given that they're in the grand final, can you?
No, exactly. And
he's brought something special to Super League, hasn't he? And Salford.
Yeah, undoubtedly. And do you know what? He seems like a nice guy as well. His mum was at the awards. I didn't realise, but I was stood right next to her at one point outside, and she seemed, dead excited and dead emotional at all. And then he turns up with Joey Lussick. They look like they were out on a date together, getting all the pictures taken together. But he was dead nice. He stopped for a picture.